Ropp Star Gang, Panther Nation, what up, what up, what up? Sorry I'm late, but I'm still here. So, of course, I would be here. Why wouldn't I be? How's everybody doing today? Welcome to another episode of the circus of the Carolina Panthers, because that's what it is. We are basically for other teams' entertainments nowadays. We are basically other teams' entertainment nowadays. We got the Chicago Bears laughing at us. We got former players laughing at us. We've got all mass media all over the Carolina Panthers right now just because of our clown owner. Okay, let's be honest. We all know why that is. And we're going to talk more about that today because what should the punishment be? Does he deserve to be punished? We're going to talk all about that today. We got Chris Mack in the chat. We got James Island in the chat. We got Marcos. We got AJ Brooks. We got Battlehawk Superfan, even though we all know that's Mad Chatter in the chat. As always, got Kyrito in the chat. We got people in the chat. James Island Panthers in there. So AJ Brooks is in there, making sure I get everybody. So make sure y'all, as you're coming in, make sure you pound that like button. Smash it like it owes you money, like it's the last thing on earth that you have to do. Okay. Just kidding. But anyways, appreciate everyone joining the live stream. And let's get right into it. Let's get right into some things here. Got some winners and losers. Of course, Derek Brown. It's a winner for me because he still is a man amongst boys. Even though he got kicked out in this game, he's still a dynamic force, man. He deserves an all-pro title. He's been carrying the team on his shoulders. Meanwhile, Brian Burns finally emerged from this season-long hibernation that we've been seeing from him. Finally delivered a little bit of a performance, kind of resembled a little bit of his Pro Bowl standards. So miracles do happen. But Johnny raising Hecker saved the day and some punting in the punting realm. I mean, I didn't even put him up there, but I'm giving guys who I think were winners in this game. You know what I mean? Because the offense was MIA. Okay. Even the CBS sports commentators injected fresh insight into the booth. So I'll even give Adam Archuleta a hand clap. You know what I mean? He was awesome. And in his debut. Tepper, the losers in this is Tepper's Beverages and Bryce Young's Air Show. All right. We enter in this whole fall from grace kind of ordeal with David Tepper. Has just basically shown he is a complete embarrassment to the league and the Carolina Panthers. Everybody's saying allegedly, but why are people even saying allegedly in some of their articles and some of their posts? No, he threw it. There's a video. Okay. He threw a drink at an opposing fan. Right. And, the franchise stock has taken a plunge into this, and I think it's going to. I told y'all it's going to get worse before it gets better. But the Tepper's antics is really what overshadowed what was going on the field with the misery of a performance that we were seeing from this team. Now, we were coming off of a stellar performance, I thought, against Green Bay. I thought it was the best performance we had all year offensively. Defensively, not so much. DJ Chark was finally getting open, catching touchdown passes. But in this game, it was New Year's Eve ball drops, fumble catches, contributing to just basically a brutal sequence of what was going on through this game. All right. The offensive woes for Bryce Young continued. He had a hot streak going on, then just hits a nice ice brick wall. This was an abysmal performance against a Jags team with a backup quarterback, okay, with wide receivers that were injured. And it included inaccurate throws by Bryce, missed opportunities, an interception, and the list goes on. Another person that I didn't put on here is Thomas Brown. This offensive line has been struggling, but I'm going to get into Thomas Brown, why I'm saying that. But the offensive line is also another issue. You have an erratic rookie quarterback who is failing to progress week by week or show progression week by week with this offense, behind this offensive line. At the rate that we are going right now with Bryce Young is soon to be the 4th ranked quarterback in the NFL for most sacks this season. Okay. You're 1 for 13 on third downs in this game. A disastrous 4th and 7 call. That just proves that this playbook that they've put together is inefficient. Okay. You can't afford a coaching staff that shoots themselves in the foot week in and week out when they've already are limping through the challenges that they're having to go through this season with the injuries of the offense and on the defense. You also got the whole concept of the rookie quarterback not progressing. You got the whole concept of the offensive line scheme doesn't fit the offensive line. But then we also are saying that we got a left tackle that we drafted in the first round, plays like a left guard, moving him to the inside. And I talked about that yesterday. Is that the solution? I don't know. I don't know what the solution is here. All I know is that I have never seen a team this bad. I think this might go down as one of the worst teams in Panthers and NFL history. It has to. Between an owner meddling within football operations, an owner yelling fuck in the locker room, an owner firing a first-year head coach who should have never hired him in the first place. You gave away your first-round draft pick this year. So you don't have a first-round draft pick this year. You got an owner who's also doesn't take accountability for his actions. He hires he's hiring head coaches before the GM. And the list goes on and on about that. So as this time goes on, it's going to get worse before it gets better. All right. That simple, easy is, I don't know how much more I can explain it to you. Yeah, after he got hurt, he definitely wasn't the same. Definitely wasn't the same. I'd still take Bryce Young over Mac Jones. At least I can say that. At least I could say that there's more potential there than Mac Jones. Seriously. That's the only thing I really can say. So, another topic I want to bring up real quick. All right. I'll have to look that up, Marcos Cash. For my eyes, I need to see that for myself. So no first round Blues. So we have no first round pick, right? But there's some gems in the rough. All right. There's a little bit of gems in the rough here. Okay. All right. Amarius Mims, I think would be a draft gamble worth taking. Okay. Because the Panthers need to add protection, no matter if it's Bryce Young, whoever the quarterback is. Okay. Bryce Young has been running for his life. Even though Marcos Cash says that he's averaging 2.8 seconds in the pocket, that's top 10 in the league. I'll have to look that up for myself. But a physical powerhouse like Mims has more potential than a unicorn. Okay. Sure. He's raw. He's like sushi. But if he drops to us, we better snatch him up. All right. Snatch him up. Snatch him up quicker than a discount gadget on a Black Friday sale, guys. This guy is going to be worth a steal. This pick isn't about just Mims. It's about what you need to invest in for your quarterback survival. And let's face it, keeping Young alive at this point right now is the key to the Panthers' future. I've seen people that saying, well, you should go get a quarterback in the second round because nobody believes in Bryce. There's a lot of people out there that don't believe in Bryce. I've been on it before, and I'll say it again. I'm 50-50 on the kid. I think that the issue with Bryce is that it goes beyond just Bryce and his flaws. It goes on with the flaws of the offensive line, the flaws of the play calling, the flaws of the coaching, the flaws of the GM, the flaws of an owner. Everything that has transpired here this year is all into the circumstances of what's going on, not only with Bryce Young, but other players as well, right? I believe that. And the coaching staff, okay? So going into the draft, though, I think the biggest thing here, and I've been saying it before and I'll say it again, the biggest thing that Carolina has to tackle in this next coming draft has to be the offensive line. I don't care what about this quarterback situation, okay? Even if Bryce isn't the answer, you are better off building what's around him. You have a better chance of building around him than getting another quarterback in the second round and he does the same thing Bryce is doing, okay? We could end up getting – you're not going to get – the quarterbacks that you want in this draft is not going to be there, number one. And the guys behind those guys, I'm not truly a big believer in them. Yeah, we saw some great play from J.J. McCarthy last night, even though I believe that hit Blake Corum and Tyson Wilson. I think that's his name, Tyson Wilson, or his name's – I know his last name's Wilson. I can't remember the wide receiver's name for Michigan. But that bailed him out multiple times in that game, okay? And if you look at these other quarterbacks, Penix played well. Ewers is ass. We can already tell he's going to be atrocious in the end. He's not going to be, he might be a backup. He might even be a third string at that point if a team keeps three of them. Penix showed his arm talent last night, showed what he's made of. I like what I saw from Penix. I don't see a lot of these guys though that we're going to be wanting to go after that's going to be really worth anything. It like a Penix or maybe even like a Bo Nix at best, right? You're not going to see them in the second round. So at that point for me, it's like you got to build an offensive line. I don't care who the quarterback is. Okay. You still need to put pieces around that quarterback to win football games. Look at San Francisco. Okay. That's a perfect example of not really getting a great quarterback. Okay. Or we're talking like how Cam Newton is a game managing quarterback. And then you get, a Brock Purdy. Again, at the end of the day, it's about building the offensive line and building around Bryce because you're stuck with him. So whether you like it or not, that's where we're at. Number 2, guys you could probably get in the second, another guy you get in the second round, maybe third. Again, I know that Blake Corum or Devon Edwards, I think, would be great running backs to bring here because the ground game is as scary right now. Is very scary right now. It is not something that I am obviously, there's nothing very happy to be with this team right now. So you can't fix everything. And a draft in 1 year is not going to fix it. A free agency this offseason is not going to fix it. But we can sure as hell try to at least build off of what we got. Okay? What's available, right? Blake Corum, Devon Edwards are that dynamic duo that we need. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that we go after these guys back to back in the draft. I'm just saying getting something similar to that aspect of the run game. Okay. Corum's got the speed. He's got the vision. He's got the ability to turn a play into a home run play. Okay. He's very practical to the football aspect of the running back aspect of the NFL. He's going to be a very good running back in the NFL in my eyes. On the other hand, you've got Edwards. He's not very flashy like Corum, but he compensates with that grit and power run game. So that's what we need to translate back to the days of the Chuba and the Deontay Foreman of last year. Because look how that was working, right? You want to have that Batman and Robin for that running back room like we saw last year. Okay? So getting one of these guys to add into the mix with Chuba Hubbard, I think you can't go wrong either way. But again, the best offensive line is like a defense, is your defense for a good offense. Does that make sense? So again, the best offensive line defense is a good offense. All right. What up, Anthony Brown? Now, protecting your quarterback has to be the priority here of the grand scheme of things. That's why I'm saying Minch or a guy like Jordan Morgan, those kinds of guys can be that linchpin here. Something that you can shield against those storms against a very good defense. Grab either Corum or Edwards in the third. Get you an offensive tackle like Mims or Morgan in the second. All right. That is the playbook that I'm kind of going with these with this blueprint, I guess you can say. Right. I think the free agency is good enough for the Carolina Panthers to bring in a wide receiver like a T. Higgins, right? Or like a Michael Pittman Jr. or like a Marquise Brown, right? I think you can get those guys in the free agency if you decide to not go into the wide receiver realm in this draft. Now, of course, this draft is full, okay? Full of wide receivers. So if you do go offensive tackle, right, in the second round, you're going to be able to get a guy in the wide receiver spot in the third. I've seen Troy Franklin fall down to the third round. I've even seen Xavier Worthy fall down to the third round. All right. There's even been guys there in the third round that I've even seen that we could talk about too, like a Devontae Walker or like a Torrey Hilton, I think is his name, or Troy Hilton, right? Out of Colorado State. You can get a Brendan Rice out of USC. There's guys still there on the board. I've even seen Muhsin Muhammad's son come out the 5th or 6th round. So there is going to be guys in this draft that you could still go for a wide receiver. Okay. Now, there's always been talks about what should we do? We don't have a first round pick, right? Hold on one second. I got to fix this light. That sun is still going through my blinds. Okay. That's better. So what can you do, right? We don't have a first round pick. And Chris Mack's already kind of going, getting into what I really want to talk about here is trading Burns. You're not going to, Chris Mack, I haven't seen a trade scenario where I've been able to, any of the mock drafts that I've done, where I've been able to get a second round pick and a first round pick for Brian Burns. I've been able to get a first and a third at best. That is about as good as that I've gotten for Brian Burns. So, first and a second, you're pushing it. Is it possible? Maybe not. But again, these are mock drafts. We don't, you don't know really exactly what you're going to get until, the actual drafts happen. And again, we don't even know if they're going to try to trade Burns. We don't know the whole scenario with that yet. You haven't tagged, you haven't paid him, right? So the only scenarios of those things is you either trade him, right? Right, you tag him and trade him, or you sign him. And I don't know, in the situation that we're in, is it worth signing Brian Burns and trading him? Because at the end of the day, listen, it's like it's such a tough call for me, because here again, you lose your pass rush, because that's basically our pass rush, right? Would we all consider Brian Burns our main pass rusher? I would probably say so, right? Maybe Frankie Louvu, but other than that, it's like either you tag him and trade him, right? You tag him and trade him, or you sign him. And for me, I think that with the situation that we're in, if we're going to do the rebuild the right way, I say fire sale. I don't say just trade away Brian Burns. I say you trade away every single body except maybe Derek Brown, Frankie Louvu, and that's on the defensive side. The offensive side, there's only one or two guys that I'm keeping on that offensive side, and that's probably, well, I would say Brady Christensen. I would probably take a chance with Icky, Bryce, and Chuba. Other than that, and Tommy Tremble. I like Tommy. I like what I've seen from Tommy Tremble. So I think that at best, that's who you build around the offense. And then that's it. That is it. Because I don't know where else you're going to go. In a decline year right before he was tagged, put him on the free agent, value goes down. Yep. If they are smart, tag and trade him for anything you can get. Burns ain't a game changer. He's still looking for that $30 million money too, which I think he's going to be still looking for. I just don't see how he's going to get paid that. I just don't see how. So we got the season finale coming up. All right. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are trying to make that playoff push, right? Looks like the NFC South crown is on the line in this next coming game. Obviously, we're standing in their way. But the Panthers are a team that has seen more lows this year than a snake in a limbo contest. All right. Let's be honest. That's how bad it's been. Okay. Now, we all know Baker Mayfield's dealing with some rib issues right now. And the Panthers are obviously the basement of the NFL. And, Mayfield, who, we know so well about, played him already once. It was a close game. Now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've got the playoffs in their front window, right? They're coming into our house. Baker Mayfield's stats are like a roller coaster. He's thrilling at times, but then he's sickening at others. Okay. But lately he's been on a tear. He's averaging more yards. And I can see a redemption game for this guy. The offensive stats might not scream championship, but Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are catching touchdowns. They're making a lot of noise over there. Evans has been a Panther punisher ever since he's gotten there. He's on a mission right now. He's trying to go over 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns. On the defensive side, you got Bryce Young, who had a terrible weekend against the Jaguars, and the Bucs defense, I know, has to be smelling blood. So on the defensive side, they're definitely going to be trying to go after Young hard, and especially in the pass game, disrupt that pass game, because right now it's a sinking ship. And this team does very well at haunting quarterbacks. The Bucs is a very good team at haunting quarterbacks. And the Bucs might have a top-notch rushing defense, in my opinion. Their pass defense is a little bit leakier, but the Panthers, this is your chance to really exploit that aerial vulnerability of a passing defense that the Bucs have. Now, again, their front, the thing is that they have a great pass rush run defense. All right. The secondary, not so much there in Tampa Bay. But the Bucs can sack a quarterback easily. I'm watching them play this year. That they do have a great pass rush. Debai, Vita Vea, both of those guys are excellent pass rushers. Vita Vea is great at stopping the run. I've seen quarterbacks go there, and this season they've had 45 times this. They've sacked a quarterback together 45 times this season. So they have a great front on that defensive line. The Bucs are the favorites in this game, guys. We're the underdogs with nothing to lose. So the question is, will Baker Mayfield make us regret our decision of not keeping him here? Or can Bryce salvage a rough rookie season against a relentless Bucs defense? Because the Bucs are on a mission right now. And the Panthers, this is just another game on the schedule. The Tampa Bay is trying to make that playoff push. Can we be the spoilers to that? I don't know. There's too much chaos going on with this team. So we'll be looking into this more. I'll be talking about this more throughout the week. But right now, it's not looking too good. Is CJ Henderson a free agent? I'm pretty sure he is. Is Troy Hill, Jeremy Chin free agents? Jeremy Chin is, and I think Troy Hill is as well. I'm pretty sure he's only a 1-year deal. I think CJ Henderson and Troy Hill and Jeremy Chin are all free agents this year. So there's going to have to be some moves to be made in that aspect of things. Right? Now, let's talk about what this is saying. To bring the hammer down on a drink-tossing Panthers owner. So the question here lately is, first things first, let's talk about this. Is this tantrum that David Tepper pulled a turnoff for top talent to come here? Because in the circus of the Carolina Panthers, we might just be the straw that broke the Panthers' back. Okay? What David Tepper displayed might be the straw that broke the Panthers' back. It's not just embarrassing. It's a flashing neon saying potential coaching and GM candidates beware. That is what it's saying when you look at this. Not only from this video, but knowing him yelling fuck in the locker room, knowing the Hunger Games that's going on here, knowing an owner that meddles within football operations, you find that you have literally, David Tepper, have put the Panthers at rock bottom. And we are in the basement scrapping with no first-round draft pick and an offense that's been playing hide and seek all season. You have to blame this on the owner, who's a billionaire, who has an ego, and has been on full display, who has now tarnished this team of reputation that has now gone from keep pounding to keep pouting, just like Supernova said in the chat. This is the latest escapades and allegedly hurtling a drink at a fan at a shutout loss. Just added another layer on this ongoing drama with David Tepper. This incident, coupled with rumors of Tepper's micromanaging tendencies, we already know he's a micromanager. It's painted a vivid picture of how an owner whose ego might rival the team's on-field struggles. And if Scott Fitter, the current GM, it has to be on thin ice. I don't know what the drink was, Matt Chatter. I don't know what the drink was. Maybe it was tequila. Maybe it was club soda and Tito's. Maybe it was Tanqueray and club. I don't know. Gin and tonic. I don't know. But whatever it was, it wasn't good, I guess, because Tepper's track record for being an owner, for me, it does not scream an ideal boss, right? Now, from all these different coaches, from all these different coaching hires to impulsive decisions that he has made, he has been the one-man wrecking crew. And now, as the Panthers are desperate to find a winning formula around a rookie quarterback, a potential head coach, a GM candidates, all these guys might think twice before hitching their careers to Tepper's erratic roller coaster. And sure, David Tepper's wallet is hefty. It's just about as hefty as his ego is. Okay? The roster with guys like Bryce Young, Brian Burns, J.C. Horn, Frankie Louver, Derek Brown, okay? Those kinds of guys, I could definitely say that can hold some promise there. Maybe to some coaches it doesn't. Maybe to others it does. But however, the allure of a fat paycheck, is that enough to make someone come work for an owner who's keen on managing everything but his own temper? Tepper's reputation now, guys, precedes him. The Panthers owner has been labeled as impulsive, toxic, and worst of all, a yes man collector. So the question isn't about the money, but whether any sane football mind would willingly subject themselves to this type of chaos. Because the expectations for the next coaching hire should be tempered, because Tepper's has now created an atmosphere of limbo with a track record resembling the pre-Kevin Stefanski Cleveland Browns, maybe even worse. Loyal, passionate fans, as for the Carolina Panthers, deserve better. But it seems that the biggest thing that is in the way of everything that's going to go on, like I told you before, it's going to get worse before it gets better. But the biggest thing that is blocking the Panthers from doing any justice and to get back to those keep pounding days is an owner with an ego blocking the path to that direction. We all know David Tepper's worth $20 billion. Okay. He might need some soul searching. He might need to go to therapy. He might need to go take a 6-month vacation and let someone else handle this. Because unfortunately, with the recent actions speaking volumes, and the prospects seem as unlikely as a Panthers trying to win a Super Bowl ever. To a top for any organization in the NFL, For you to attract top tier talent, he'll need more than just a fat paycheck. He'll need a dose of humility, a hands-off approach, and a genuine commitment to letting the football minds work their magic. That is the only way this gets settled. That is the only way that this gets settled. You cannot buy your way around in the NFL. It does not work like that. It doesn't. We've seen too much of David Tepper. You don't see owners at every single game. You don't. You see the GMs. But we haven't even seen Scott Fitter as much as we have David Tepper. We've seen more of our owner than our own GM. And the GM is the one you're supposed to see the most of. And we haven't seen him once. He hasn't even stepped up to the podium. When's the last time Scott Fitter stepped up to the podium there in Carolina and said something? Until David Tepper gets his dose of humility, till he decides to take a handoff approach, and it then decides to commit to letting the football mind work their magic, we are going to be the basement of the NFL. Because until then, until those three things that I just marked off there, until then, potential candidates that we might be targeting should keep their resume some polished and sent somewhere else, because the opportunities with an organization like this is too much drama for them. We deserve better as Panther fans, but whether they'll get it under Tepper's rule, that, to me, my friends, that is the $1 million question. Under Tepper's rule, do we have a chance to get back to the keep pounding days, or are we still gonna end up seeing an owner who meddles within football operation, yells fuck in the locker room, who throws drinks at opposing fans? Is that what we are going to get? Because if that continues, well, then this is what needs to happen. I've already told you three things that needs to happen, but this is what the NFL needs to do now. I understand that in the NFC South, life is tough, but you have to be able to maintain your billionaire composure. This taking your frustration out, throwing a drink at an opposing fan is a whole new level for me. I've seen owners flick guys off. Right? I think the owner last year flicked someone off. I can't remember what team, but he got fined like $1 million. But the NFL in general isn't just competitive on the field. The owners are throwing their Hail Marys as well. Arthur Blank of the Panthers, or the Falcons. Sorry, Arthur Blank of the Falcons might be grappling with the playoff dreams, but they're slipping away. But at least he's not making headlines of launching beverages at fans. Tepper's latest stunt is now all over social media. It's all over mass media. It shows him literally aiming a drink at a Jaguars fan. Literally. He literally sat there and aimed it at him. Classy move, right? Classy move from a billionaire. It's childish. It's embarrassing. Tepper, you're already in hot water with a wobbly franchise and an abysmal record of 2-14. Now you're facing potential NFL punishment for violating the league's personal conduct policy. It's a simple equation. Angry fans can't hurdle hurl things at players, right? Angry fans can't hurl things at players. Angry players can't throw stuff at fans. So why should an angry owner get a free pass? Because the NFL responded with a bland statement and they're aware of the video, but have no further comment at this time. How about some swift justice? Tepper doesn't get a timeout. He gets a lesson in accountability. So are we not buying in this whole pro football talk melodrama about assault and battery or COVID cognition fears holding Tepper to a higher standard than a rowdy fan? Now that's a reasonable demand, I think. Tepper, I think that you need to brace yourself, my friend, because this shouldn't be just being aware of your antics. They should show you the door marked of consequences. Let this be a lesson to all you owners. Leave the drama on the field, not in the stands. I think the man should be fined. I think he needs to be fined at least over $1 million. I think he needs to be fined over $1 million because $1 million to this man is nothing. Right? I think he needs to be fined at least 10 to 15 mil. And he should be suspended for at least 6 months. Guys, there's 17 people watching. Make sure you pound that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. 18 people watching. Make sure you pound that like button, guys. We're only at 8 likes. So the more you like, the more it helps out the channel. Greatly appreciate it. Helps get the algorithm out there to maybe that no one knows my channel. So I greatly appreciate it if you pound that like button. 18 people that are watching. But David Tepper also, with a conduct that he basically like I said, he fucked up, right? He literally violated a league's personnel conduct policy. So why is he not getting punished? Angry fans can't hurl things at players. Angry players can't throw stuff at fans. So why should an owner be allowed to have a free pass in this kind of a situation? It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. I think he needs to be suspended for 6 months and fined $10 million at least. And there should be a vote. They should vote to see if the committee thinks that he should get this. This could end up being going to that where they vote him out. I mean, it can go to that, right? Yeah, they definitely stay quiet because he's not telling them. He's not going to allow them to say anything. Yeah, I saw a tweet the other day or yesterday. It said Fitter's still there. Like I told you guys, it's going to get worse before it gets better. It is one-sided, AJ. It is one-sided. That's fine from the NFL. He's getting sued, probably. He needs to be getting sued. If I'm that fan, I'm fainting and then I wake up into the courtroom. That's what I'm doing. I'm fainting and then I wake up in the courtroom. That's what I'm doing. If I was that Jaguars fan, I would faint and be like, sue him. Then like one eye open to one of my friends, call my lawyer, and sue him. I would love for him to be suspended for a full season. And I would also love for him to sell the team. 6 months of active team time, please. No draft BS. I feel that. I would love that. That's what I would love. Where he cannot have any activity with the team. 6 months of no activity with the team. $10 million. But I mean, this could end up worse. I mean, Kyrie is right. The guy could say, you know, hey, I want to sue the man. I would love for it. I envy that fan. I'd be acting like Plankton in that episode. He sued Mr. Krabs. That's awesome. Bro, he's not selling the team. You're overacting to this. I don't think he's going to. I know he's not going to sell the team. Just leave your wallet on your desk, Mr. Tepper. Yeah. Let me get that American Express black card from you, Mr. Tepper. I just need to borrow it for a couple days. Yeah, but it wasn't a glass. It wasn't a glass. It was just a plastic cup. Whatever he was drinking in, whether it was water or maybe he had maybe he had an alcoholic beverage. I don't know. Guys, make sure you pound that like button as you're coming in. I greatly appreciate it. We got 21 people in here. No reason why we shouldn't have 21 likes already. So make sure you pound that like button on your way in. The more likes we have, the more it supports the channel. Also helps the algorithm get out there to those that may don't know about my channel. So I greatly appreciate it. Mad Chatter, you won't do nothing, man. You're all talk. That's why you're called the Mad Chatter. See what I did there? So then it comes down to these off season. So I've been thinking about the off season blunders, the biggest blunders that have accumulated this off season. What were the biggest mistakes we made this off season? Right? Besides not firing Scott Fitter before the draft and the free agency. These are ones that I just think that were the biggest ones, the offseason issues. The first things first is that play calling catastrophe. Okay? I don't think it's going to cost us any draft picks. We're already too low with it. We're already screwed. We've already been swindled enough. I doubt that they're going to take draft picks from us. But again, we've got we came into this season with dreams, right? How many in the chat right now? Okay, how many in the chat right now? Raise your hand and be honest. Be honest with me right now in the chat. Raise your hand. Okay. Raise your hand right now, everybody in the chat. Just put a hand emoji in the chat or put a one up or put a middle finger up, whichever one you want. Put in a hand up that in the beginning of this season, with this whole Avengers coaching staff, Frank Reich coming in and a franchise quarterback that everybody believed in, I think at the beginning of the season, I think everybody had their high hopes for Bryce Young. How many of you in the chat right now, raise your hand and be honest, because I'm admitting on it live. So if you can admit it in the chat that you believe this team could have won the NFC South this year. And be honest. Be honest. From the beginning of the season, after the free agent moves, the draft, how many of you in the chat right now believe that this team could win the NFC South? It's a serious question. Because I'm one of them. I'm eating my crow. I've got my clown face on. I got a big red nose right here. How many of you in the chat? We've got 2 so far. There's 15 people watching. So everybody's hands up in the chat if you believe that this team truly was going to win the NFC South this year. Because I was one of them. I'm eating my crow now. Damn, Marcos, you believed in that too? Marcos, out of anybody, I didn't think that. So we got Kyrito's got his hands up. We got Supernova in the chat with his hands up. We've got Battlehawk. So Mad Chatter had his hands up. Dom34 says, hell no. He wasn't going to win it. Never said that, to be honest. So, okay, he never said that. I was talking trash too about it. Fair enough. My Panthers wasn't winning. Fair. Marcos has his hand up. Like I said, I can't believe it was him. We expected a better record than this. Fair. I had us at 10 wins. Shake my head. Okay, so that counts for you too. So that's 1, 2. We got 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and I went to the dark side around 2. So we got basically half of the people and over half the people in here. All right. Smash that like, smash like and sub. Thanks, Dom. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, you had him at 9 wins. I had him at 10 wins. I'll be honest. So then everything came down and it hit reality like a freaking freight train. Did it not, guys? In the chat, did it not hit us like a fucking freight train? Because Frank Wright's play calling was a dance of despair, man. This play calling catastrophe was swinging from bland to just uninspired. Remember the word that we were using with the offseason, the preseason, vanilla offense? Remember that? The reins were then handed over to Thomas Brown. So you take your chance, right? You hand over the play calling Thomas Brown 3 games in. Okay. Only to witness the ship to sink even further. So the Panthers are now back at square one. They're contemplating another coaching regime change. It's a playbook rewrite or a bust of a team drowning in this offensive efficiency. Number 2, the head coach headache. Hiring Frank Wright. Paid him $70 million. Just got fired from the Indianapolis Colts. Let's hire that guy. In the grand scheme of things, of the head coaching decisions that David Tepper has made, the Panthers went off script by choosing Frank Wright, in my opinion. The man arrived with all these promises of rejuvenating, just like any other head coach would, forming a coaching staff dream team, but the egos, too many cooks in the kitchen, turned the Avengers right around, just like in Winter Soldier. But yet the grand vision that crumbled this team of Frank Wright, under Frank Wright's leadership, not once did it ever ignite any positivity. Under his guidance, the Panthers looked unprepared, undisciplined, and utterly uninspiring. Again, 1 win from 11 games forced David Tepper to pull the plug. 1 win from 11 games, he pulled the plug. He just automatically thought that this experiment failed. Let's go ahead and move on. Leave the Panthers searching for answers, and we're all trying to search for answers once again into another head coach. I know Mad Chatter that Frank Wright, they want Frank Wright back, but they're dumb as hell over there if they want Frank Wright back, bro. They're dumb as hell. Frank Wright needs to go on a vacation for over a year. He does not need to coach football for over a year. He needs to just go to Cabo, go somewhere, put his feet up, grab a couple cocktails, and kick back. He needs to hit a whole reset button. Dom, thank you so much. Smash that like and sub. I really appreciate that. If you're bringing in an unproven coordinator, you got to give him a full season to show if he's good, coordinating besides possibility of becoming a head coach. But I truly believe that with this head coaching headache, right? Because with the whole Hunger Games ordeal, right? I truly believe that Frank Wright sealed his fate. I felt like he sealed his fate with this team. He sealed his fate when he didn't get the draft pick he wanted. Now that's not his fault. Okay. So what I'm just listen. Okay. The draft pick wasn't his fault. He wanted CJ Stroud. Him and Scott Fitter both did. But David Tepper came in and said, I want that Heisman Trophy winner because his name is bigger than the other guys. His name is bigger than CJ Stroud. His name is bigger than Anthony Richardson. He was thinking about putting asses in seats more than what the football IQ and football-minded guys wanted, right? So that's why I've always been talking about how David Tepper has to let the football minds do their job and not get involved, right? Number two, you hired a guy that just got fired from the Indianapolis Colts. Not even a month of his firing. Was it even a month after he got fired that they brought him in? Was it even a month? Was it even 2 months or even 3? And you picked him, you paid him $70 million over a guy that you had there already in the coaching staff who literally almost won the NFC South with Sam Darnold at the helm. And he had the run game and the offensive line looking impeccable. And the defense was playing, I want to say it at its best without J.C. Horn and Dante Jackson. He brought that culture back to the Carolina Panthers, Steve Wilks. So you chose him over Frank Wright, who just got fired. You chose Frank Wright over Steve Wilks, who just got fired from the Indianapolis Colts. Not even 2 to 3 months, I think, before you hired him. You paid him $70 million. And then before that, if we want to backtrack a little bit, he hired Matt Rule before he hired Scott Fitterer. And he gave power more to Matt Rule than Scott. So you did it ass backwards with there. But Frank Wright, let's get back to the whole Frank Wright sealed his fate. He sealed his fate when coaches were texting the owner to tell Frank Wright to change the offensive scheme up to fit your rookie quarterback that you didn't want and to work on his footwork. They were texting the owner to tell Frank Wright that, but he refused to do it because he let his pride get ahead of him. That's what sealed his fate. That's what sealed his fate right there. I don't think Frank Wright knew how to use small quarterback like Bryce Young. I think he would struggle with Tua and Kyler Murray. I mean, I think that the playbook was already made up and he didn't want to make any changes. He was already pissed off. I think it also has to do with that too, but you can make a fair point in that debate. Belichick and Russ are coming. We're coming. Yeah, right. We'll spend damn near $500 million between coaches and we fired another head coach. Yep. Oh yeah. Like 6 feet in the ground backwards. Yep. He does everything ass backwards. I don't think it's going to happen, Mad Chatter. I just don't see it. Shout out to the chat room. Absolutely, Dom. Shout out to the chat room. Happy belated New Year's and Christmas. Yes, to you too. James Harris is saying, I don't understand that David Tepper wants to erase all the mentions of keep pounding and establish his own screwed up culture, bro. It doesn't make any sense to me either, Jamie. It doesn't make any sense to me either. Dom, it's over. Forget about New Year. Matt Chatter, he's just being nice. Leave him alone. Dom 34, Marcos Cash saluting it off. So, another one. So, a costly misstep, right? When Christian McCaffrey left, the offensive strategy didn't really crumble because when Steve Wilks was here, look what he did, right? But instead of securing a reliable replacement, you let Deontay Foreman walk and you bring in Miles Sanders. Now, guys, sound off in the chat with the hand raise thing again. Okay? Sound off in the chat and raise your hands if you thought that Miles Sanders was going to come here and be like the old Miles Sanders that we saw Philadelphia Eagles? Let me know. Sound off in the chat. Sound off in the chat. I want to know. And I was one of them. I thought he was going to be good. I thought he was going to be good. Okay? I'm not going to lie. So sound off in the chat if you thought Miles Sanders was good. Because I thought he was. I thought he was going to be a reliable replacement to go along with Chuba Hubbard. I thought it was going to work out. But obviously I was wrong. So that was another thing. Okay? I obviously did not take into account that he was behind one of the best offensive lines in football. So instead of securing a reliable replacement behind, we can even say Deontay Foreman or Christian McCaffrey, Scott Fitter decided to take his bet on Miles Sanders, showing him a nice, hefty contract, right? 4 years, $25 million, $16 million guaranteed. The result has been nothing but a total disappointment. Sanders has lacked in any spark and any vision to this team. He's lost his starting job to Chuba Hubbard. And now with the Panthers facing the daunting task of parting ways with Sanders, now you have to, you might even have to swallow a substantial amount of dead cap money if you do so. So another personnel blunder in a long line of the Fitter's missteps. Next one. Matt Chatter's like, what did I do? What did I do? Now, I wanted 33-2, Oasis. I wanted 33-2. Right? I wanted him too. I wanted Deontay Foreman to stay here so bad. I would have rather paid Deontay Foreman that contract. Even though I thought he was like more like a 2-year for 14 mil kind of contract. But the biggest blunder of all to me might come down into one of the most, could go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history here. Not only here in Carolina, but in the NFL. Because in a bold move, you trade your number 1 overall pick in 2023, right? The Panthers traded their number 1 overall pick in the 2024 draft, right? Plus DJ Moore, right? Plus you traded your 9th pick. So you traded your first round pick for that number 1 overall. What's that, right? It's a bold move. It's a steep price tag and a future that's starting to resemble a horror show, man. The Panthers gave up precious draft capital, including a coveted number 1 pick in 2024. With Chicago potentially flipping it again, the Panthers then find themselves in a desperate situation. Then DJ Moore's absence has definitely been felt here. A 2nd round pick in 2025 is also bidding farewell from Carolina. So again, if Bryce Young doesn't ascend to greatness, that trade is going to haunt the Carolina Panthers for years. And that blame squarely falls on Fitter's shoulders. The Panthers have played checkers in the NFL, and those other NFL teams are playing chess. And the results for us was far from checkmate. Let's be honest. Because now as the offseason is about to come upon us, you got to have to do something to salvage what's left of your pride and dignity of this organization. And the stage is set. We're not rebuilding anymore, or we're not retooling anymore, because we never did a full rebuild. We never cleaned house. We never fire saled. The stage is set for now that you have to do a complete full rebuild. Do you want to know how you do a complete full rebuild, folks? I'll tell you. It starts off like this. Starts off with, number one, your owner doing the three things that I mentioned before, right? The three things that our owner has to do, okay, before this can even be done. Number one, he has to take a dose of humility. He has to take a hands-off approach. And he has to take that commitment to trusting the football-minded guys to do their magic. Number two, it starts with firing Scott Fitterer. It starts with firing Scott Fitterer. That's where it starts. It starts with firing Scott Fitterer. This is how you rebuild the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to break this down one day. I might break this down in a better notion one day with like a full PowerPoint presentation like I always give out. But I'm just going to give you my scenario of this. To get back on track, you have to do a full rehaul. You have to sell assets, and you're going to get assets, right? You have to sell what you have and salvage what you have as well. So again, the three things that David Tepper has to do: accountability, let the football-minded guys do the football-minded thing, right? Stay out of the football operations, sit back. Number two, fire Scott Fitterer. Bring in a GM, okay? Like an Ewers, or not an Ewers, Agnew, sorry. Bring in like an Adam Peters, somebody like that, or an Agnew over in Detroit, somebody like that. Let him then hire his next head coach, right? Somebody that can actually scout talent and bring talent to an organization. Agnew, Peters from San Fran, Agnew over in Detroit. Those are two good candidates in mind. Also, the assistant GM over in Kansas City would also make a lot of sense as well. Those guys can bring in talent. They've shown that in those organizations, especially in Detroit. Because look what out of anybody, look what Detroit went from. They went from almost the same situation we are in, 2-14, something, but turn it around and look at them. They're playoff contenders. They could even be championship contenders if Jared Goff can get his head out of his ass and the secondary there in Detroit can play better. Next thing is then you bring in obviously I'm going to let the GM, okay? You have to let the GM get the next head coach. So whoever it may be, I don't care if it's a defensive-minded guy. I don't care if it's an offensive-minded guy. I need a guy that's going to come here, though, whoever it is, and be a culture changer. What kind of coaches are like a culture-changing head coach? Eric Bieniemy's of the world, right? Steve Wilkes of the world, Mike Tomlin of the world, the Bill Belichick's of the world. Those guys is what's going to rebuild that culture. I don't care if it's offensive minded, defensive minded. Again, I just want culture change. Then what you do is you trade away. You pick 5 players you're going to trade away. Because there's 5 players in this. There's more than 5. You either tried to trade them away or you release them. For me, I'm going to try to trade and see what I can get out of them. Brian Burns is number 1. You trade Brian Burns and you extend Frankie Louvu. Why? Because Frankie Louvu has been more productive and more elite in my eyes than Brian Burns. Extend Derek Brown. And I take a chance on YGM to have some upside and step up like I've seen him this year to continue to build off that momentum he had. So that's on the defensive side of the ball. I trade away Dante Jackson because if you don't trade him away, you're going to eat $15.8 million in cap money. If you trade him away before that deadline, the June 1st or the July 1st deadline, you'll save yourself $15.8 million in cap space that you could bring in a free agent. You know who you could bring in for $15.8 million? You know who you could bring in for $15.8 million? You could bring in a Marquise Brown. I'm just saying. So you trade away Dante Jackson. If you want to keep Von Bell, sure, but you could trade him for a potential candidate and move Jeremy Chin back to his original position. And you rock with Jeremy Chin and Xavier Woods. I like Von Bell. I think he's a great communicator. I think he's a great player. But I think Jeremy Chin, with his versatility, I think Jeremy Chin is the better one. Right? So then on the offensive side, who am I going to go ahead and let go? I'm going to let DJ Chark go. I'm going to keep ISM. I'm going to keep Chuba Hubbard. Obviously, we're stuck with Bryce. I'm not re-signing anybody on this offensive line. I'm not re-signing Bradley Bozeman, that's for sure. I'm not re-signing Bradley Bozeman. I'm trading away Hayden Hurst. I'm trading away Miles Sanders if I can. If not, you're just going to end up eating dead cap. But try to trade them away. Because I'd rather walk with Tommy Tremble and Steven Sullivan because they've been more productive on this team. But you got it. That's where it starts. It's getting rid of pieces and assets that you already have and have to get the assets that we really need and want. You have to bring in the right depth and talent to not only to this coaching staff, but the players around you to be a good football team. You have to adequately put 2 + 2 = 4. Just like in the NFL, you've got to put players around the players that best fit the scheme and the players around you to play together as a whole as a team and have everybody on the same page. But this team is all over the place. So that's my way of rebuilding it. I'll probably break it down better, maybe in more detail, but that's the way I'm looking at it. You're going to have to trade pieces. You're going to have to maneuver some cap. You're going to have to trade pieces to get some cap space back. Because if you trade away guys like, I broke it down the other day. If you trade away Dante Jackson, Brian Burns, Hayden Hurst, Ian Thomas, Jeremy Chin, and Terrace Marshall Jr., those 5 guys. Now, it's not really as much Brian Burns. It's the other guys that I mentioned, Thomas, Hurst, Jackson, Terrace Marshall, and Ian Thomas, all 5 of those guys, right? If you trade those guys, Chen, Thomas, Terrace Marshall, Jackson, and Hurst, all 5 of those guys you trade away, you'll save yourself $27 million in cap space, and you would only take like $1.8 million in dead cap. Now, Miles Sanders, that would be a different story. If you let Miles Sanders go or you trade him, you will eat some dead cap. How much? I'm not too sure. But Brian Burns, you won't eat any dead cap if you trade him, right? Because he's on his 5th. He's technically a free agent if you don't tag him and or you don't extend him. So there's multiple scenarios on how that's going to go with the full rebuild, but you have to do a full rebuild now. We've done too much. We've been doing too much of retooling for so many years, and it has not panned out. Look, that's probably one of the reasons why where we are. We've never done a full actual rebuild. We've only done retool, and you can't get away with that in the NFL. Teams have had to do full rebuilds to get to where they are now. That's the only way. So the scenarios that I threw out there, that's my mindset of doing it. One of these days, I'll break it down in more of a detail oriented situation. So again, guys, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Of course, make sure you pound that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Feel free to join the Discord right over here. The Discord, there's the link tree down below. You can follow me. You could go in there and come in the chat like you are right now. It's a good way to communicate with me and everybody else here in the chat. Also, you can join the link tree and go over to any of my links. It will take you to any of my social media. You can follow me there. I'm very active on all those. And of course, check out BetUS, the sponsorship of every live stream and every video. BetUS, sign up for free today, guys. You get 125% bonus on your first bet. So go check it out. All right. All right, guys. Well, I'm hopping off of here. I hope y'all enjoyed today's show. I had a lot to talk about. I had a lot to get off my mind, but definitely going to get some shorts out here to you today. We were completely Justin Brady. I feel you, man. I was right there with you. But anyways, guys, as always, make sure you pound the like button and subscribe to the channel. And as always, guys, before I leave you, y'all know what to do. Keep pounding. Peace.